Today, we're breaking down why the New York Jets draft class has a chance to be special. We're going to talk about each pick, the biggest takeaways from the draft, and so much more. My guest is the great Will Parkinson from Turn On the Jets. So let's hit it. New intro and get it started. Hit it! Welcome in, everyone. My name is Jake Asman. This is the Jake Asman Show. The Jets just had one of their greatest wins in the last 20-something years, and we're going to break it all down. Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh, C.J. Mosley, Joe Douglas, Elijah Moore, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. I think this is an excellent pick. A super chat, you cut the line, smash the like button down below. That's that thumbs up icon. Now, let's talk about the New York Jets. Here we go on a Monday. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Every Jet fan, I'm sure, is still giddy about the weekend that was in Las Vegas. A lot happening with the New York Jets. We got rookie minicamp coming up in just a bit. Then, of course, you got OTAs, and before we know it, training camp will be here. Let's talk Jets. Let's get more reaction on what was an awesome, awesome draft. And to do that, we bring on one of the hardest working Jet fans out there, the host of the Turn on the Jets podcast, the great Will Parkinson, who was just on SNY yesterday, joins us right now. What's up, Will?
How you doing, man? It was a fun weekend.
I would agree with that. It was very, very fun. All right, Will, big picture. What to you is the most important aspect, your biggest takeaway from what the Jets did in the draft?
I would say added Pro Bowl potential level players to the roster. Something I think me and you've talked about a bunch, that they just did not have enough, homegrown, not even just homegrown, just guys in general on that roster. You could say, who can make a Pro Bowl on this roster? And I think you feel like the Jets got really good value where they picked, but big picture, there's guys that you feel like, this guy can make a Pro Bowl someday. This guy could be an All-Pro, if things work right, if Sauce or Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall, for example, or you get, solid to potentially above average starters and Jermaine Johnson and Jeremy Ruckert. Like that's a haul right there, 4 or 5 starters in one draft. So over the last 12 months, they've drafted potentially 11, 12 starters. That's as good as it gets. And that's how you properly rebuild. And now you just got to get some of these free agency signings to hit. And hopefully they've done that this year. And now you'll start to see some things take off with, kind of all comes down to Zach, but big picture, they drafted some really talented players on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
What was your favorite pick that Joe Douglas made?
Favorite pick? I don't know. I guess 10 to me, actually just going and getting the receiver. There's obviously always rumors. You hear a ton of things. Oh, yeah, the Jets are going to take a receiver. They're going to take a receiver. They never end up doing it, though, right? They haven't drafted a receiver in the first round since Santana Moss, which was, I was 7 years old. So the fact that they actually did that and they got a consensus, either number 1 or number 2 on everyone's board receiver, that's as exciting as it gets, getting Zach Wilson playmakers. I was going to say Breece Hall, especially because for some reason there's now this thing where everyone's like, oh, he's a running back, so it's a bad pick. If you study the Shanahan scheme, running backs are actually very important, and having multiple backs is awesome. And so I would say the 2 playmakers they got offensively in the top 36 picks to me shows they believe in Zach, which is good, obviously, but this isn't Sam Darnold. This isn't Geno Smith or Hackenberg, these guys running out there with a bunch of, barely NFL level players. These are guys that are top 30 picks, top 40 picks in the NFL draft with high-end talent, all-American level players that not only have high floors, but high ceilings. So I would say Garrett Wilson's my favorite pick just because I think we're not talking enough about how good he is. He's a sub 4.4 guy who was, 1,000-yard, 5-star recruit, like everything you want in a football player, Garrett Wilson is, and apparently was the smartest receiver in the draft. Every coach, every scout said he picked up the playbook in 2 seconds. So that's a huge thing. It's important for this offense. So I'd say Wilson's definitely my favorite pick.
The versatility of Garrett Wilson, Will. I mean, you played receiver in college. Can you speak to that? Because this guy could line up outside, inside, and he plays a lot bigger than just 6 feet, whatever he's listed at.
Yeah, he's a guy that Actually, he's really good at the catch point, really good contested catch guy. There's a couple of clips. The one that I think it's gone pretty viral already is the one against Clemson, the national semifinal, I believe 2 years ago.
As a true freshman, he made that point.
It's a true, 2 years ago and went up, and that's against Clemson. That's no joke. Hung in the air forever, serious jumping ability, and he had a play against Michigan. I know everyone talks about Hutchinson that game, and as they should, but Garrett Wilson had an incredible, contested catch. Touchdown in the left corner there. So can play inside, can play outside, has got reps at both, can play all three spots. It's something that's super important. It's almost the anti-Denzel Mims where we're not going to hear about a young receiver not understanding the playbook or not knowing where to line up and things like that's not going to happen with Garrett Wilson. He's as smart as it gets. His football IQ is through the roof. And then obviously he's naturally a very good athlete. He's 6 foot 190. He's not like, I think there was this notion because for whatever reason, he's like some very short, like he's not Elijah Moore as much as I love him is 5'8". Like this is not that situation. Like he's the same. He's like Odell's an Odell size, right? Or something like that. So, it's something that, I just think Garrett Wilson's a very versatile player, but he's just going to be really talented in all three roles. And I think that's something that, the Jets will get the ball in his hands and that's it.
Let's go back to the first pick they made. And what was interesting, by the way, this was the only pick the Jets made that was actually their pick. All the other picks they made were in trade-ups or picks that were acquired in trades that Joe Douglas made. This was the only pick the Jets made that was actually their own. In real time, Will, I didn't love the pick because I was like, well, what are they going to do at pass rush? Now, knowing that they end up with Jermaine Johnson, which we'll get to at 26, I can't say enough good things about the potential for Sauce Gardner to be a part of this defense for years to come. What did you make of the pick then? And now, what do you think of the pick of Sauce at number 4?
So I came on here, I think your show the week before the draft, and I said I thought they were going to go KT. This is before everyone kind of found out about, the Jets were not going to take KT, but I thought Kwanu going in made the most sense. I still thought the Jets still clearly have questions about Mekhi Becton, and that's fine. They feel good. They felt good enough. They felt Sauce was a good enough player to kind of supersede a potential need there and go corner, which obviously is a need as well. Like he's a really good player. He was pretty consensus cornerback 1. He got drafted in the right slot. Like it's not like the Jets overdrafted him. Where he is. The Jets played a lot more man last year than I think people want to give them credit for. I think they played man in like 30 or 35% of the snaps, all on third down. They were always playing man. You need that type of sticky corner. It's the famous Jets, like, oh, it's 3rd and 14. They're going to always give this up because they don't have a good edge rusher and they don't have the corner to lock it down. So you like what they did there. He's got the ability to play in zone as well. He's very good. His press technique's obviously fantastic. And he's 6'3", 190, and he runs a 4.4. Like I don't, great culture guy. He wants to be there. It's an attitude, a swagger to him. So I think it was the right pick when in hindsight. At the time I didn't love the pick because I thought, edge rusher, receiver, and were two more important, potentially needs. But the Jets ended up getting those in the first round anyway. So that's why you kind of have to wait. I did like a spit take reaction after pick 10 and was like, I like it, don't love it. And then after pick 26, you're like, wow, that's now Sauce at 4 looks really good. No one's even really talking about Sauce. Everyone seems to be just talking about Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall. I like Sauce as a player. I think he's got, again, this is another guy in this class, really high floor, but also really high upside, right? If Sauce makes some Pro Bowls, you wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he walks in day one, he's their best corner, and he's going to be, somebody that's at least a solid NFL starter year one. Although corner is hard to adjust to, but if he is a Patrick Surtain like rookie year, which would be as good as it gets as a rookie, I think you'll see the Jets kind of benefit from that pretty heavily.
What does the secondary look like now? I mean, you look at Bryce Hall, who looks like a very solid day 3 pick from a couple of years ago. Right now, it doesn't look like he's a starter on this team with Sauce and DJ Reed. So how do you see Saleh deploying the corners and the safeties that are currently on this team?
Yeah, I think day one, you'll see it be LaMarcus Joyner, Jordan Whitehead, pending anything else that happens at the safety position. And I kind of joked about Honey Badger being somebody. He was going to New Orleans makes a ton of sense. He's a New Orleans kid. They obviously have a need there. I think it's to be Jordan Whitehead and Joyner. You'll probably see Ashton Davis, Pinnock, Will Parks be the guys that kind of right behind him, right behind them. And then at corner, you'll see starting, it'll be DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, and Michael Carter in the slot. Then you'll see Brandon Echols probably rotate in first because he can kind of play both. He's a shorter corner, but with longer arms, so he can play more of a nickel and an outside corner. And Bryce Hall, it's not even slighting Bryce Hall, but he's probably their cornerback 4 right now. And like, that's awesome to see, right? Like, rookies could struggle early on, injuries happen, guys that you can rotate. There's a million things you can do, but they've got 4 pretty solid guys right there. And then Isaiah Dunn and Javelin Guidry are probably the guys that are fighting for that last roster spot or last 2 roster spots at corner. So, yeah, no, they're in a pretty good spot. I think opening day, though, you'll see Sauce, DJ Reeby, the outside corners, Michael Carter, the second in the slot, and then Joyner at kind of that free safety role, and Jordan Whitehead at strong safety, if I had to guess right now.
Real quick, because I know a lot of Jet fans wanted him. Your thoughts on Tyrann Mathieu signing with the Saints earlier today?
Yeah, it would have been great for the Jets from a brand perspective, a culture perspective. He was almost the Jet, 4 years ago, and the Jets didn't want to move Marcus May, which is fine, right? It made sense in the long run. The Jets weren't ready to win, so it would have been a bad signing anyways. But look, the Jets aren't going to be able to compete with the Saints, who, the Jets are probably in a similar situation where like the expectation, but the Saints are ready to win right now. They obviously were aggressive in the draft and gave up a lot to get 2 guys who I'm not sure were worth their draft slot, but he's from New Orleans. It's hard to compete with that. He's talked openly about wanting to go back there. So the Jets, unless they were going to massively overpay, which Joe Douglas is literally never going to do, it just wasn't going to happen, unfortunately.
Let's keep going as we dive through the Jets draft class here. If you have a question for Will or for myself, write it in. Super chats will go first. They'll cut the line. A lot to talk about. And by the way, Jet fans, it's a big week on this channel. Just because the draft is over does not mean there's still not plenty to talk about with this football team. Here are some of the guests that are scheduled to join us already this week. We got some big ones for next week, but Will's joining us right now, as you can see. Tomorrow, DJ Bieniemy from the New York Daily News will join us to recap the draft. Matt O'Leary on Wednesday, Joe Caporoso on Thursday, Cole Thompson on Friday. So we're going heavy hitter after heavy hitter after heavy hitter to get you set to recap the draft and start to look ahead to rookie OTAs, rookie camp, which begins next Friday. So very excited about that. All right, let's keep going, Will, as we recap the draft class. I mean, my reaction as Jermaine Johnson started the fall was, why? Holy crap, the Jets need to trade up and get this guy. This is the guy. And then when they moved up, I think every Jet fan knew it had to be for JJ. So your thoughts in real time watching that play out with Jermaine Johnson going now number 26 of the Jets? Yeah,
I was actually watching the draft with Joe, and I'm like, dude, they got to trade up here. Like, if he starts falling, you look at teams like the Eagles. The Eagles obviously ended up getting AJ Brown, so they weren't going to trade with the Jets in that spot. But there was a couple of teams that were looking to trade back potentially, and he kept falling. I was like, okay, Baltimore, no. Dallas made a lot of sense. There's a couple of teams that were like, he's definitely going to go here. And I think, as you saw, the Jets said they tried to trade up from pick 15 on. So, yeah, my reaction was like, go get this guy. It made a ton of sense. I had him rated higher. As much as I liked, Ebiketie out of Penn State and, Boye Mafe out of Minnesota, they're both older edge rushers as well. And I didn't think they offered the same in the run game. So Jermaine Johnson made a ton of sense. I think the Jets were thrilled to get him. I'm not sure. There's some criticism around the pick. I'm not sure where that's really coming from, but yeah, my reaction was go trade up. And in reality, what they really did is they flipped a 3 and a 5, and they basically acquired Bryce Hall and Jermaine Johnson. So I will take that all day long if I'm the Jets or a Jets fan.
So my personal favorite pick, Will, was the Bryce Hall pick because of what it symbolized. It's like they didn't need to go running back, but they got a guy that in another year in the old NFL is certainly a first-round guy, probably a top 15 pick talent-wise. And I just love what it symbolized. Like, there are other picks. Obviously, I was giddy about Jermaine. I love Garrett Wilson. He was my wide receiver 1 this whole time. But Bryce Hall just symbolizes hey, we're not going to fail our young quarterback. We're going to run the ball. We're going to give him weapons. And this guy, if he touches the ball, he can take an 80 on any play. I just love the pick because of what it symbolizes for what the team's trying to do. How special could Bryce Hall be right away in this offense?
Oh, I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. That's like I said it on SNY. I will keep saying it. Like, if he gets a number of touches, because this is not a quarterback heavy class where the quarterbacks always dominate Rookie of the Year, running backs hit the ground running, no pun intended, the quickest. It's the easiest to adjust to. He played in this system in college. He's elusive, great contact balance, can catch the ball in the backfield, be able to, stay in the game. He can balance carries with Michael Carter. He should be special. This offensive line should be very good in the run game. The right side, you'll have AVT and Becton. The left side, you'll have guys, in Tomlinson, who's a bully up front into the run game. George Fant's serviceable as enough at left tackle in the run game. He's obviously very good in pass pro. So, yeah, Breece Hall should be the Jets want to run the ball and be physical. He's going to get over 200 touches this year. I would be shocked if he's not. He'll be a top 5 fantasy pick, in dynasty leagues, or top 10 fantasy pick in dynasty leagues. And, he should hit the ground running. And I have very high expectations, and I think he has that as well. He literally is like, I am the best running back in this class, no doubt. And you like to see that confidence, but Michael Carter as a 2 is really, really good. That's why, it's not even a slight at Bryce Hall or, Brandon Eccles, but them as 3 and 4s is really, really good. You feel really good about that. They're kind of, everyone's kind of getting pushed into their proper NFL alignment in a sense, right? It's, you feel good about where they're at. So, Breece Hall, I have high expectations, and I think he should hit the ground running. If he was a Pro Bowler in 2020 or 2022, I wouldn't sit there and be floored.
Your thoughts on Jeremy Ruckert living out your Long Island dream, Will Kid?
He is living out my life dream, man. He is living out my life dream. He's a New Yorker, diehard Jets fan, played tight end. His brother plays at Cortland. It's like, it all added up. No, that was awesome, man. It was really cool to see that, and the reaction. His dad is like, that's special. That kind of tears on the heartstrings a little bit, whether you like the Jets or whatever. It doesn't matter. It was cool,
It was
man.
incredible. The videos are, I've watched it 1,000 times. And what's so funny when they do the Jets chant in the backyard, I heard you guys joke about this on the Turn on the Jets podcast. That was like every Long Island backyard ever where the Ruckerts are living out in Lindenhurst.
I know.
It was incredible.
Someone was like, one of the people was like talking about, they're like, I've drank beers. It's, back in high school in those backyards and whatever. It was pretty cool, man. It was, the reaction of just, to be able to go, I'm a Jets fan growing up, and you just want to Long Island kind of holds a large majority of the Jets fan base, that in Northern New Jersey, it feels like, or, kind of that diehard, those diehard Jets fans. So it was really cool. It was funny. Jack Cohen almost signed with the Jets as well. Would have had a huge Long Island turnout and on the roster next year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Can you, kind of break down Ruckert's game? How do you see him impacting this offense right away? I mean, a lot of people look at it like, well, you already have 2 tight ends, so what can be expected from Ruckert? I look at it like he's the future tight end 1 on this team, and ultimately this allows you to develop him behind 2 veterans. And if you're going to run a lot of 12 personnel and Uzomah or Conklin get hurt, and Uzomah has an injury past, you have someone that can come in and play, and you don't skip a beat ideally. So what are your thoughts on what Ruckert can bring to this team year 1?
Yeah, Ruckert's an interesting case. Compton pre-drafted Dawson Knox, and not necessarily meaning he'll become Dawson Knox, although that would be obviously fantastic. But guy in college, underutilized. College offenses, not, outside of Trey McBride, most college offenses aren't really featuring their tight end. They're usually more of a blocker, a guy that's red zone player, some, the occasional kind of Swiss Army knife type of play. So Ruckert, good hands, a good route runner, big, huge body, 6'5", 255. So it's not like he's some small tight end. The Jets wanted to draft him earlier. Once they traded pick 69, they, quote, thought the dream was dead to get Jeremy Ruckert. They liked him a lot at the Senior Bowl. He looked good, really good blocker. He needs to refine a little bit of technique, but really good effort blocker. Ohio State used him to kind of free up that run game. So he's a guy that is going to he's going to develop. Conklin's on really a glorified 1-year deal. It's a 3-year deal, but the Jets could pretty much get out of that deal after year 1 if they wanted to. So, and Uzomah is a 3-year deal. That's only 2 years of guaranteed money. So it's not like the Jets are tied into these big contracts at tight end. They're in a good spot where he doesn't have to play day 1. Tight end's really hard to adjust to in the NFL, just because you're basically an offensive lineman and a wide receiver, and you have to learn this scheme is not easy. I think the Jets feel like he can, he'll be able to pick the scheme up right away. Tough, hard-nosed kid. So, yeah, his ceiling is, I think he'll be the tight end 1 in 2 years. I think this year he'll contribute some. Maybe he'll catch 10 or 15 balls, maybe a touchdown or 2 here in the red zone. You never know, though, right? Someone could get injured in camp. CJ Uzomah is not exactly a clean bill of health guy. As much as I like him, part of the reason, he's 29 and he has struggled to stay healthy for 17 games. The Jets need multiple tight ends in the system. The tight end position was probably the worst group in the NFL last year by a wide margin, right? So Now you've got 2 legit NFL starters and a high upside round 3 pick. I think you feel really good about both the value of Ruckert, where you got him, and what he kind of presents, and what he'll be able to do in this offense going forward.
And finally, Will, before we open it up to super chats and go a little rapid fire with Jet fans' questions, your thoughts on what they did in the 4th round, Max Mitchell and Michael Clemens, the 2 picks.
Max Mitchell is an interesting one. I like the pick. Look, I think his ceiling is probably a decent NFL starter at right tackle. I think he's more likely a swing tackle, a guy that, he's your 3rd tackle, can spot start when needed. The Jets need that, though. That's a huge need for them. Mekhi Becton has missed 17 of the last 33 games. George Fant has been banged up, right? He had, he played through a lot last year, but he got banged up pretty good. So the Jets needed a swing tackle. He was at the Senior Bowl. Jermaine Johnson got him a few times on some spin moves. So I guess if you like a Jermaine Johnson clip, you should watch. There's some more stuff on the one-on-ones. And if you want to see a Max Mitchell clip, that's not the one. But, again, tough kid. Jets liked him. I thought it was fine value, and, where they got him, I thought that was a nice pick. So I have no problem with that. I actually, again, swing tackle is a need. You hope he develops pretty quickly as a 22-year-old coming out. Can he, pick up the system quickly in camp and, push back that. I'm not saying he's going to start over him, but at least give him some competition, keep him, motivated. In terms of Clemens, it's the one pick I was a little disappointed in. I would have, look, it's fine. It's another edge dart throw for the Jets. He's a guy that, I think he had 11 or I think he had 13 sacks in his last 17 games in college. A lot of those were in the LSU game. I think he had 3.5 or 4 in the LSU game. He's had some off the field stuff. He's been arrested. He got arrested twice in 3 months. He's 24 years old. He's a guy that, look, he's a strong, athletic guy, and there's some really good stuff on tape. It's just, I just didn't know that taking another edge after you've had an offseason of they have 700 defensive linemen, and I know that's the scheme. There was other guys on the board. I would have loved to see them double down at receiver, like Calvin Austin, someone of that nature, Romeo Doubs, somebody like that, as well as, you could have gone linebacker, which clearly the Jets feel good about because, in the Howie Roseman mold, they're not going to invest heavily in linebacker, and you could have got another safety. So I don't hate the Clemens pick. I get it. But at the same time, I just thought there was other guys on the board I would have liked to see them that had bigger needs. And I'm not a huge fan of having a dart throw on an older player with a bad, background of not that the crimes were as bad. It's just when you get arrested twice in 3 months, it doesn't really show me great judgment of, going forward, you're going to be able to kind of adjust there.
And the Jets say they did their homework on Clemens. Excuse me. They did their homework on Clemens and feel comfortable with who he is as a person. So we'll see. I feel like it's one of those picks where you got to trust your locker room. You got the right leaders in place. Keep this guy in line. And, people make mistakes, and the Jets are betting on him, being a guy that can contribute on this team going forward. Well, we got a lot super chats, a lot of questions for you, so we'll take those. We'll go rapid fire, man. So don't feel like you got to expand that much. I'm going to try and get to as many people as possible here before we dive in to those super chats. Let's talk about sports betting. So I am going to know likely the winner of the Jets jersey contest that we've been doing through BUSR at some point today. I was hoping to have it this morning. I have not received the information just yet. So if you entered, congratulations. I will reach out to whoever is selected to win the Sauce, Jermaine Johnson, or Garrett Wilson jersey. We got to wait for the Jets to give them numbers in the team shop, and then BUSR is going to order the jersey and have it mailed out to you. But if you're just looking for a place to bet on sports, doesn't matter whether you're a fan of baseball, they got baseball. If you want to bet on the NBA playoffs, they got basketball. Hockey starts tonight. As much as I despise the New York Rangers, you could bet on them tonight as they get ready to start their playoff series with Pittsburgh. BUSR.com/Asman is where you want to sign up. Any sport, future bets, live odds, fast payouts, tremendous customer service. Check it out. It's BUSR.com/Asman for more information. Let's open it up. A lot of people want to talk to the great Will Parkinson. So we start with Albert with a super chat. Where would you rank Garrett Wilson with last year's draft with the Bama wide receivers and Jamar Chase? Would he be taken before any of them in the draft? Thanks.
I would have him behind Waddle and Chase. I think he would have been 3. So I think he would have been above guys like Ruggs, Judy, the list of those type of guys. I think he was above those. I don't think he was above Chase, who was a generational guy, and then Waddle, who's just presents some pretty elite traits. So I would have had him 3rd. There's no slight on him, right? And the Jets have a quarterback that should be able to utilize a lot of Garrett Wilson's skills, where I don't know that the Dolphins have a quarterback that can utilize Waddle's. So in reality, it's also about fit, not just, how good you are. So, I would have had Wilson 3 there, but that's not exactly a slight. Those two guys were, I think Waddle had like 100 catches and 1,000 yards, and Chase obviously, was an all-time rookie season.
Luis checks in here with a super chat. Here was his question. Any available free agents you'd like the Jets to sign? J.C. Tretter seems like he could help fill a void.
Yeah, J.C. Tretter makes a ton of sense. I would love the Jets to take J.C. Tretter and send, Connor McGovern, potentially packing, and would have utilized that money elsewhere. But yeah, I don't know that that'll happen. I think that that kind of seems like that situation and that idea seems to have passed potentially. It could happen, but I think McGovern's likely going to be the Jets starting center. Although, again, I would be very okay with J.C. Tretter, who apparently is looking for like a 2 for $12 type of deal. I would much prefer that to Connor McGovern on $10 million a year.
Indy Cult checks in. Any undrafted free agent signings by the Jets that you like, Will?
So the Jets undrafted free agency signing is going to be interesting. I look at a guy like Zonovan Knight, out of North Carolina State, running back. He's a guy that, he's going to come in and probably can compete and potentially beat out a guy like Michael P. Ryan, Ty Johnson, even a Tevin Coleman potentially. So, and be that running back 3 if he hits the ground running. Maybe he's the running back 4 practice squad guy that gets elevated if someone gets banged up. I believe led the ACC in broken tackles last year. So someone to watch, that would be the guy I kind of had my eye on of names that they brought in. I know running back, again, seems like it's going to be a really deep position for them, but he's a name that kind of stood out.
Just another one here from Takan. He wants to know more about Zonovan Knight. Seems like that's the trendy guy that the fans are the most curious about.
Yeah, it seems like I believe it's either the first or second highest guaranteed money they gave out in undrafted free agency. So, again, he's a back that could help them a lot. I think, we'll see what happens. Again, running backs usually able to hit the ground running. It gives them a guy that, P. Ryan Johnson, Tevin Coleman. Seem like
who's getting cut there? Is P. Ryan a goner?
I would be shocked if P. Ryan's on the roster. Last year he was like they were playing anybody and everybody. They were playing Austin Walter or whatever, right? And all these
Rice's
guys.
finest,
yeah,
baby.
Right. They were playing those guys over P. Ryan, who is a homegrown player. So I would say Zonovan Knight's me battling with those type of names to make the roster, and there's a good chance he could. He's got to come into camp, not fumble, and go from there.
Sears says, what's the plan if Zach misses games? Flacco, White, any QB still out there? We could target Baker maybe. All right, Sears. Baker, no shot. You have Flacco and White back. That's the quarterback room. I know someone asked me about Nick Foles, because Joe Douglas was in Philly with him. That's not happening either. They got Flacco. They love Joe Flacco. Joe Douglas discovered Joe Flacco as a regional scout with the Ravens over a decade ago. Flacco's the backup, and then Mike White's the number 3.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I still think there's a chance Mike White gets traded in camp if some other team's backup quarterback gets hurt. The Jets could get a potential 2023 pick for him. The Jets feel good about Flacco. Zach likes him. Seems to like him a lot, and he played well last year when he came in. So I don't see the Jets doing that. Someone asked me.
He's an elite quarterback, baby. Yeah, we got a Super Bowl MVP as a backup.
Someone asked me if they're going to trade for Jimmy G. They are not. They're all in on Zach, whether you like it or not. That's the plan for right now, and hopefully he doesn't miss any games. I said it. They cannot afford him to be missing 4, 5, 6 weeks again. It just can't happen. They will struggle, obviously, and I think Flacco will come in, and Mike White will be battling for that third quarterback spot, and they'll go from there.
Mr. Downtown, great draft. Now get JD to get JC Tretter and Quan Alexander. We talked about Tretter already. Is Quan Alexander in play? We know he took a visit with the Jets.
Yeah, I think it's somebody that, the Jets, this is what, kind of, you look at the Honey Badger situation. A lot of these guys, the veterans will visit pre-draft. The guys that don't need to sign right now, they've been in the league for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever it is. They're not in any rush to sign. I think the Jets want to get him in, probably get some medicals on him, talk to him a little bit. Then, see if they addressed linebacker in the draft. They didn't. So, there's still a potential hole there. And, if Quan Alexander wants to make a move, he's obviously played under Saleh. He's a former Pro Bowler. He's been healthier the last 2 years than he had been the previous 2. Another guy that I think would be a no-brainer to bring in. Quan Alexander and CJ Mosley would make me feel really good on opening day. So, we'll see. But again, those are 2 names that I think the Jets will obviously do their due diligence on. And if they feel like it's the right move, I think you could see them bring either or both in.
Joey R says, Ray Ruth, a Pats YouTuber, thinks the Jets leapfrog New England in the AFC East after this Jets home run draft. Don't really care what a Pats YouTuber thinks, but I'll ask you, Will, because I care what you think. Do you think the Jets are better on paper than the Patriots?
Yeah, I actually don't think it's really close. The issue is the Jets aren't better at the two most important probably things in the NFL, which is head coach and quarterback right now. So I'm not sitting here saying Mac Jones is Tom Brady, and people are going to probably flood your comments right now saying I like Mac Jones. It's not about that, but on paper and what we've seen on the field, in the last 12 months, Mac Jones was objectively a better football player. He's not some superstar, but he was objectively not bad. So Zach's got to prove it. He's the one, he's the key on this roster. Salah's relatively unproven as a coach, as much as I think we all like him. And I think, we're all excited about his background and what he's done. Zach's really unproven, and Mekhi Becton's got to stay healthy. Unfortunately, those are the three things that I have the biggest question marks about. But on paper, the Jets are better at most. Who's the Patriots' best player right now? Christian Barmore, Damian Harris. I don't know who you sit there and go, wow, I'm really excited about. They let a lot of these guys walk. They just have moved on from a lot of people.
They took a third-round center in the first round.
Yeah, that was interesting, to say the least. I actually don't even think that was their worst pick, but Tyquan Thornton in round 2, who's a guy who
they took a quarterback in the 4th round. They went all James Morgan.
But they didn't even take the best quarterback on the board. Bailey Zappi was barely a draftable quarterback, and Sam Howell was sitting there. At least you could have been at least we did the Jimmy Brady thing where we have 2 quarterbacks, we'll move on with one. It was, I don't know, it's a little weird, but the Jets are better on paper. But unfortunately, until you beat them, I'm not picking the Jets playing the Patriots ever until they prove it, because they get boat raced every year.
They have to beat them, man. I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, the Dolphins beat the Patriots twice last year with Tua as their quarterback. The Jets have no excuse to not at least split with New England this year. If this team wants to be taken seriously, they got to split at the minimum with Miami and New England, period. They're not, if this team wants to be a wild card team or, at least play meaningful games into December, like the GM said they need to be doing, they got to win at least 2 games in their division this year. They cannot go winless in the AFCs for the 3rd year in a row.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. You got to win. You got to win some. Miami and New England Miami's probably better on paper, but Miami's got huge question marks: a coach and a quarterback, even bigger than probably the Jets do. So, at the end of the day, there's 3 teams fighting for second. The Jets have no excuse though to sit there and being in 4th place and winning 5 games is just not going to get it done. And if that happens, it's likely Zach is probably not the Jets quarterback in 2023 if that's how badly it goes.
Yeah.
This isn't like a Texans 2020 situation where they won 4 games, but at the time Deshaun was really good. It was just they lost a bunch of close games. This is they need to be competitive. The days of moral victories, I would hope, are over.
HD Marino says, where do you guys rank Wilson, Moore, and Davis as a 1-2-3 punch in terms of our wide receiver room?
It's tough because you've seen total between Moore and Garrett Wilson. Obviously, Garrett Wilson got drafted 2 days ago. You've seen 12 total NFL games. On paper, probably a top 15 group. I think I'm comfortable saying that. I think that's fair. I'm not. It's just hard to. It's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to say really right now, based on you haven't seen these guys in the NFL and whatever. But I think they have a really good group. They have an above average group for sure. With potential to be a special group if Wilson and Moore, kind of take that next step. Corey Davis is a 3 is pretty damn good though.
I agree. I don't even know if the Jets are going to have a true 1-2, the versatility in this offense. Feed the guy that's open, man. Zach Wilson, find the open guy. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, just hit the open man. Just basically recreate the Mike White game of the Bengals game and hit the big throws that Mike White couldn't hit, and you'll be chilling.
V-Man, just kind of following up on what we were already talking about. Do you agree with me that as of now the Jets on paper have the superior roster than the Patriots?
Yeah, the Jets at offensive line, D-line, corner, tight end. Tight end's probably the Patriots still, actually, just because that's kind of where they've invested all their money. But the running back room, the Patriots have $1 million, but I don't think their ceiling's any higher than the Jets. The Patriots are better in a few spots, but overall, I would say the Jets have a better roster, and the Jets don't really have an excuse to be worse than New England right now. It's time.
Jets NY, if Zach's 25% better, we're a playoff team. I think it needs to be more than just 25% better, but if he takes a year 2 leap and Carl Lawson is healthy and Mekhi Becton is healthy, that's 2 premier quote-unquote free agents you're essentially adding back to this roster that just probably drafted at least 4 or 5 starters in this year's draft class.
Yeah, 25% better. Like if you think about it, like that's Zach still throwing like 11 touchdowns. So I'd prefer him be slightly better than that. If Zach needs to get to 20 plus touchdowns and well over 3,000 yards, I think if he's even if he's Kirk Cousins or Baker Mayfield in 2020, or even just a serviceable average NFL starter, I think the Jets are going to be in a really good spot. It's just a matter of be good enough that you are not the team's weakest link, and they can lift you up and kind of carry you a little bit. The defense plays well, receivers, take the ball and run with it. I'm still high on Zach. I just think he needs to show it now. Like they've got a really good group of weapons. They've got a really talented backfield, really talented tight ends, really talented receivers. The offensive line's very expensive. He got a really good play caller. He's going into year 2. The game should slow down. We'll see, but I think you should feel more than 25%. I think he needs to take at least a 50% improvement, which he should as a second-year player.
Second-year player, continuity as well. He's the only quarterback in the AFC East that has the same OC from a year ago. Like, that stuff matters, man. He got better as the year went on a season ago. Like, he should come in and hit the ground running. Like, he should be able to take it. The biggest thing I saw from Zach, he looked comfortable by the end of the year. Probably wasn't ready to play at the beginning, but the Jets let him play through his mistakes. He got hurt, came back, learned the offense, got the ball out quicker, played within the structure of the offense. They started running the ball better with Michael Carter, which certainly helped. And now you got Breece Hall. So, if Zach Wilson could build on what he did at the end of the year, then the Jets have a real quarterback that will give him a chance to win games.
Yeah, play like Zach of weeks 13 through 17 or whatever that was. Hit some of those more deep shots. You have more talent. He limited the turnovers, and now it's time to kind of incorporate those bigger plays. And he could play hero ball a little bit, but not play within the structure of the offense, and when the time presents itself, make that big play. That's kind of what the Jets are asking for him. And I think, again, he should feel good. I know the Jets are happy with him kind of taking on that, leadership role, kind of traveling around that, the world tour, as Joe Douglas called it. Like, that's a real thing. They are excited about that. So, I still believe in him. I just want to see it, for more than, the Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson end of the season meaningless, 4 games. I want to see it in September play well.
Let's win some games in September. Wouldn't that be nice? Chris says, to my understanding, Max Mitchell has some reps at center. What would you think about him taking over from McGovern, not this upcoming season, but next?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I think the Jets will continue to kind of take dart throws there on, they're going to have to figure out center long term. But, I think, yeah, sure. Why not? I think I see Max Mitchell more, at least watching him, as a right tackle. But if the Jets want to test him out at center and give him some reps there, why not?
This one is from Warrior Spirit Boxing. My comp for Breece Hall is Curtis Martin 2.0. Agree. I love Jet fans, man. Sauce is Revis and Breece Hall is Curtis Martin. Let's compare these guys to two of the best players in the history of the team and first ballot into Canton on skates.
Yeah, I was going to say, someone told me to use Marshall Faulk. Let's go with he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. I think Connor comped him to Deuce McAllister in the Badlands draft guide, and I thought that was an interesting comp. He's a Pro Bowl level player. So if let's just have him be really good. If he's Curtis Martin 2.0, that'd be fantastic, man. I'd love a 15,000 yard back for a 10-year stretch.
That'd be nice. Jets Forever, the original Jets Forever, not to be confused with everyone's favorite troll, Jets Forever. He says Mac Jones has hit his peak. I mean,
yeah, probably.
I think Mac Jones is going to be a game manager. I don't see star potential with him. I think Zach Wilson, if he hits his potential, has a way higher ceiling than Mac Jones. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, no, I think. Look, I don't want to say Mac's hit his peak, because I think that's unfair to him. But I don't think there's a lot left that Mac can do from an athletic standpoint that he's going to continue to grow. I think he's played at the highest level in college. I don't know that Mac's going to get much better. I think he's going to be what he is, which is fine. The Patriots were a playoff team last year. I just don't know that. I think Zach's ceiling is much higher, and I think that's why the Jets took him where they did. I still believe Zach's ceiling is much higher. It's just he's got to continue to develop, do the small things right, and you'll be in a good spot. But yeah, I'm much higher on Zach long term than I am on Mac. I just the problem is we've seen 17 games, and Mac was objectively far better than Zach or pretty much any of these rookie quarterbacks.
Not Davis Mills, though, the last
no.
6 games.
Yeah, well, Mac, the last 7 games of the year did hit a bit of a wall. So
Yep.
Let's see if that's more likely, what we see this year or what we saw in the beginning of the year with Mac.
Jets NY says defense needs to cover the screen. Can't take it. Well, I mean, the additions they've made this offseason should help there. And, they need to cover a screen pass because I'm not going to be able to live with myself if I watch a 3rd and 18 be taken, 70 yards to the house again.
Yeah, no, I think the Jets do need to learn to cover screens. I think that they'll be in a better situation this year, where they should be in a much better situation. Just they put themselves in more advantageous situations, and the Jets, teams can't screen them to death. But end of the day, they should be able to stop a screen.
Aaron Jacobs says, "What are your thoughts on linebacker? Seems like the Jets must really like Sherwood and Nazardine a lot to not take one this year."
I think it's the Howie Roseman, Joe Douglas kind of background where you just don't have a high value on linebackers. They love CJ Mosley, and it's not about that. It's the Eagles had even a bigger hole than the Jets did a linebacker, and they had they would have easily in a great spot to take Devin Lloyd, and they took Jordan Davis instead. So I just don't think it's in the DNA of kind of this regime that they're going to invest highly in linebackers. Long term, they need to figure out linebacker, but I think they're comfortable, whether I agree, which I don't, or not, with kind of having Quincy, Nazardine, Sherwood, and all these different names kind of compete for that second spot next to CJ Mosley, and hope that everyone around them can kind of lift them up, and you get the Quincy against the Titans versus the Quincy against the Colts and the Bills.
Will, tell everyone where they could find the podcast this week and some of the stuff you guys have coming up.
Yeah, so Turn the Jets, podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, the normal place to find stuff. This week, me and DJ's pod's gonna be launching soon, so me and DJ will do something. Connor Hughes is gonna come on as well. We'll break down some of the Jets draft, kind of what it means going forard, and then obviously rookie mini camp and start.
You got to tell people about this podcast. Well, you and DJ Bienemy.
Oh yeah, we kind of talked about it. We weren't sure how we were gonna kind of approach it. We're gonna basically do something for training camp and during the season, kind of on the ground every day, kind of getting a recap of kind of what's going on, what's the latest buzz during camp, some of the biggest quotes, just kind of an audio version of a lot of the stuff. During camp, everyone knows there's all the tweets every team period, and everyone gets jacked up about them. But we figured we kind of bring it to everyone in kind of a more concise, consolidated version. And then during the season, we'll have a post game, kind of what happened in the locker room, what we're talking about. We'll break down some plays on film. So it should be exciting. That'll probably be launched in, June or July. But some exciting stuff on the show. And obviously, congrats on 15K again, man. That's it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Jet fans, the best, the absolute best. If you're watching this right now, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. The reason why we got to 15,000 subscribers is probably because many of you found my video for the first time on a homepage on YouTube and you clicked it. That's because someone before you liked the video, so the YouTube algorithm catered your Jet content to show it on your homepage. Liking the videos helps grow that channel, my channel, every channel, all your content creators. So thumbs up button down below. If you're new, hit the subscribe button on the right-hand side of your screen. I was about to wrap up, but John at the buzzer is going to get this one last super chat here. He says, everyone needs to chill out on linebacker talk. We were having the same conversation about CBs last year, and look how our cornerbacks look now. LB will be filled. John, I agree with you to an extent. They still did draft a corner with the 4th overall pick, so keep that in mind. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I think, again, year 2 of Mosley in the system, he should be better, and you should see a step from some of the young players. It's just a matter of, that's probably the weakest point in their defense right now is that second linebacker. The Jets play a lot of 4-2-5 though, so it's not like they need to have 3 or 4 linebackers on the field at once. We'll see what happens, but yeah, you have to hope everyone, around them can help lift Quincy up a little bit, get him to play more consistently and not such a high and low. And as long as that can be a serviceable group, that's all the kind of Jets need, and they can kind of rely on their edge and D-line talent and, some of the guys at corner, take a step.
Well, you're the man. Great job covering the draft all offseason. Great job with all the podcasts you and the team put out on TOJ. Appreciate you joining us all throughout the offseason. We'll definitely get you on again. And we got your podcast co-host, DJ Bienemy, joining the show.
I know. It's
tomorrow,
exciting.
so
it's exciting. Yeah, you have DJ and Joe. It's a big week. But no, I appreciate it. And, keep up the great work and, talk to everyone soon.
He's Will. I'm Jake. Jet fans, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. More content throughout the week. Just because the draft is over doesn't mean we won't have daily New York Jets content on this page. Have a good Monday, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.